A Fairey production, the Flycatcher, landing on Hermes in 1924. It is seen here as a seaplane, but it could be readily converted and provided with wheels for normal deck or land alightings. The engine was an air-cooled 385 horsepower Armstrong Siddeley, giving this float version a top speed of 113 knots and an absolute ceiling of 15,000 feet. A successful aeroplane that stayed as the fleet's standard fighter from 1924 to 1932, finally disappearing about 1934. The land plane version on Eagle, with the absence of floats, the top speed goes up to 134 knots and the ceiling to 22,000 feet. The seaplane again. These Flycatchers were fitted with Fairey's patent wing flaps, the outer sections of which acted as ailerons.
Now to a much earlier aircraft. This is the Fairey Flycatcher, the first new aeroplane that the Royal Air Force got in the fighter line. It went to the Fleet Air Arm in the early 1920s, which at that time belonged to the RAF. This is an aircraft owned and flown by John Fairey, whose father, Sir Richard Fairey, designed the original. It's a perfect replica from the original plans, the only difference being that instead of the 415 horsepower Armstrong Siddeley Jaguar engine, this one has a 450 Wasp, so a little bit more performance. In the markings of number 405 flight on HMS Glorious in 1930, which the aircraft that this replica represents in fact served with. Much beloved by the pilots who flew it. It was a lovely aerobatic aeroplane. It was the last aircraft to be flown off the platforms on battleship turrets. It was the last aircraft to be used on the slip flight, where you flew a flight of fighters straight out of the hangar on the big carriers. You opened the hangar doors and it flew straight out on the level underneath the actual flight deck, straight out over the bows. And from the fighters of 1924, we turn the clock back even further to the fighters right at the beginning of World War I.